Hey there, Riverman fans. I'm Jason Ruff. Welcome back to another edition of Coffee with Coach. Jason Ruff joined once again by Riverman head coach Coach Trudel. The Riverman coming off an emphatic sweep of the Evansville Thunderbolts, first overtime victory of the year. How good did that weekend feel coming off that previous loss on the Friday to the Thunderbolts? And really, you and I were talking a little bit after the game, and you were so happy. You said that the Riverman played the right way for the first time all season. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so it was like a double edge on that one. I thought Friday we were very average. We take our home games very importantly. I believe we have a great fan base, and we want to show them what kind of team we are. And I felt like we had one good period out of three, which is not good enough. And we ended up winning the game. But I always say sometimes you win, but you lose. I felt like we got worse that game. Yeah. And finally Saturday, I thought we went there with a little bit of a grittier attitude, a little bit like a hard-working kind of mentality. It took us about 10 minutes to get our bus legs out. And then after that, I thought we played 50 minutes of what we've been trying to strive for, consistent in everything we do, connected in everything we do. Yeah. And for that, I was extremely happy. Win or lose that game, I was happy because we saw some great things that we've been working on, and we finally had soldiers that went in there and athletes that really wanted to win a game. Right. And for that, that's, the start of hopefully a little traction. We can bottle up the last 50 minutes and bring that consistency game in, game out. I think we're going to win a lot more games.
Like, what specifically did you see that you were like, yes, that's exactly what we've been talking about?
I thought our F1, so our F1 all over the ice for us is really important, meaning the player that's going after the puck carrier, defensively, offensively, neutral zone. If he gets beat or he doesn't do his job, after that allows him space. Right. And if you allow space to any team in the league, you're in trouble. And I thought our F1 was on the puck. And not only was he a great F1, but he was actually winning races to get first touch on the puck. And for that gave us a lot of separation offensively. And defensively, it allows us to kill plays a lot quicker and go up the ice a lot quicker. So I was really happy. Like I said, the first 10, 12 minutes, we were a little slow, bus legs. It's a long trip. But after that, I thought we played extremely well. And our second quick was in there really quick. We got those loose pucks. Then we got separation. We did a lot of our ozone rotations that we wanted, a lot of ozone time. I thought our power play was extremely good. And I know we always look at 0 for 7, but we had 38 shots towards the net. 20 of them were one-timers. So we had a lot of our chances on the power play. Our PK started to get traction. Finally, we were more connected. So it's fun to see, because, for weeks we've been talking, guys are putting the effort in practice. We're just not seeing the result, but it was fun finally Saturday to kind of see the results of the, 4, 5, 6 weeks of hard work.
And Colby Muse, 29 saves on 30 shots. I was a little disappointed to not see him breach the 30 save mark, but still, he played fantastic in what was a total goaltender's duel.
It was. I thought Muser saved us early, and at the end we gave up 2 really bad chances on bad changes. But I also thought Ty Taylor was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I was.
Too. So Muser, the good thing is I thought he started slow that game. We talked about it. He looked a little nervous. And then the second got better. And the third, he looked like the Muser of the first 3 weeks. Yeah. Very confident, set on everything, tracking extremely well. And he was a lot more patient in his movement. So he looked like the goalie that we know. Yeah. And he was finally back. And that's another great thing for us because, like me, the most important position, those guys give a lot of confidence not only to the players but to the bench and how we feel out there. So we can take a little bit more chances knowing that he's going to be back there all the time.
Yeah, Colby Muse let up the first shot he saw last Saturday and then didn't let up anything after. Alec Bear getting the game winner. You've been talking a lot about wanting to see your leaders really step up, the veterans really step up. It seemed like we definitely saw that on Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Everybody was involved. I think it started even Alex's first shift. I told him he looked like a guy that wanted to win. And I understand. Sometimes the belly's a little full. That player, every year dominates every year. You won 2 out of the last 3-year championships. So sometimes, it's hard to get motivated for another year because like it or not, we're not in the NHL. Right. So, it's a little tougher for those guys, but he came out this first shift, he was skating and he demanded the puck. He didn't want the puck, he demanded it. Yeah. And that's where Alec Bear is at his best. Mm-hmm. The more he has a puck in his hands, the more success we're going to have. And I thought he did really well with the puck. No bad turnovers, smart plays all over the ice. If he had nothing, he bought into the team concept of playing behind them. And he won races, he won battles. And once you see your leader do that, and I told that to Hags for years too, is we're going to follow our leaders. You know what I mean? So if you see your leaders doing that and really wanting to win, he was vocal on the bench. He wasn't allowing anybody just to be average. He's making everybody accountable, and you could hear his voice. And that to me is things that as a coach, once it's a player lead team, you're a very good team. And I think it took us a while, but like I said, we got great traction on Saturday. Hopefully we just continue with that with our leaders leading.
You know, Guy, one of the things you as a coach are really good at are putting players in the right positions, putting them in positions where they can succeed, and also putting players and keeping them from situations where they can have significant challenges. What goes into those decisions on the bench to, put players out in this situation versus keeping them on the bench? Like I remember some games past couple of years, you would have Alec Hageman benched for a whole period and then comes out in the third. All of a sudden, he's a completely different guy. What goes into that? Is that just years of experience coaching, or what are kind of the signs you look for?
Yeah, it is, and it is with all the reps they have during the year, during the years past. So you kind of understand where they're really good at, what they're not good. And don't get me wrong, in practice, we do try them in different spots because, again, you can always find diamonds in the rough in different spots. But you understand also the attitude of certain athletes, what they need. Sometimes they need a little tough love to make sure that the reaction you're going to get because you've been with them for a few years. So you can squeeze a little bit more off of him. You can off of him. And we always say we give the hardest feedback to the strongest warriors.
Yeah.
So we look at those type of things also and what we have to do. And I remember Friday's game, I really squeezed Alec Bear because, like I said, if our leaders are going, our team are going. And for me, it's very important when we have games in Peoria that we give our great fans a show. I get what we are as a team, as our identity. So I think it's just years of experience and understanding. I always say the first 3-4 shifts of a player, of an athlete, you kind of know where he's at, which mode, and you see that from a face-off. I always say face-off to me is the first 50-50 battle of your shift, and you see if we're on our toes, if we're not, if we're aggressive, if we're not, if we're bumping the right way, if we have second, third efforts, and you see it right away. It's easy to see, and then understanding also that some guys you can't do it as much because you might lose them for 5 games after that. So it's just understanding your players. I think having great relationship, understanding where they're at, understanding where the confidence is at that time, and doing the proper thing for the athlete to have success and not to lose confidence. And sometimes, like I said, I squeeze athletes, or I'm going to bench Alec Hageman because I know he's going to be mad and he's going to come back the next period because I've done it a few times in my career, and I felt like that period we didn't necessarily need him. Now I'm going to send a little less. And it's not always just a message. It's a message to all the boys that we hold everybody accountable. It doesn't matter if you're the first player or the 19th player. We're all the same. We're Peoria Riverman, and we hold each other the same accountability.
It's incredible the details that you can glean just off of first couple of shifts or even just off of face-off. I know it's kind of cliche, I guess you can call it, to say, oh, the devil is in the details. But for you and for everyone who does this job at a high level in athletics and anything you do, if you want to do it at a high level, you got to pay attention to the details because that's where the devil is.
Details is everything. Details, and I always say consistency into the details. Somebody can have great details one game, but then goes 3 games without it. You want that athlete that is consistent in everything, so you know what to expect. Away and with the puck, you know absolutely what he's going to give you, and you can trust that. Details, I always say details is trust. If, like Mike Gillette, even if he's not having a great period, I'm going to put him right back out there because I know he's a detail-oriented guy. And, the execution's not always there. That's going to happen to slip a bit. But if the details are there, details allows you to make mistakes and still be in the right spot or be in the right position. And I'll give you a perfect example. Dad's first shift last game I thought was horrendous. And you can ask him, he's going to tell you the same thing. But I knew Dad's is a detail guy. And I knew he was going to come back. He was going to be upset at himself because he's a harder critic of himself than I could be on him. So I didn't even need to give him feedback. I knew exactly what he's going to show up the next few shifts and do what he had to do. So again, that's just the understanding of everybody and how important details are. And the detail players get a little bit more leash because, even if they don't execute, they're still going to be in the right spot at all times and do whatever is necessary for the team to be successful.
They're going to hold themselves accountable.
They have to because they're so detailed. It's just in their DNA now. They can't help themselves. And by doing that every single day, you don't have to think the game when you're out there because you know everything that you have to do so you can play fast. A player that's not detailed, that has to think about details, that's when you lose an athlete. That's where so you have to teach so much in practice that it becomes that they can just play the game without thinking and just playing and flowing with what they know, what they're supposed to do. So now the instincts takes over. So the speed you can allow the speed to keep going.
Is that really the difference between a team that wins a championship versus a team that just makes the playoffs and maybe makes a run?
Yeah, I think that consistency, yes, it is. Because you can get lucky, you can have great goaltending, you can win a few games here and there, and you can make the playoffs. But when it comes to the playoffs, you're going to play 8 teams that are pretty detailed.
Yeah.
Once you get to the finals, you're going to play a team that's really detailed. So if you don't have the same details, or if you know how to make a few adjustments here and there, you're in trouble. Because against good teams, if your details are not great, they're going to pick you apart, and your goaltender can't save you all the time. You know, it's the laws of the average. Like, at one point, if you don't have details, you're not going to win those games.
It's like the Montreal Canadiens when they were basically riding, Price to the Stanley Cup final. But at the same time, man, you have to have the hopes and dreams of a whole province on your shoulders. That's tough.
You got to remember also at that time, they had Price playing great.
Yeah.
But all their players, the Shea Webbers, all their Warriors, the Corey Perrys, they're so detailed, those players. Yeah, I mean, the Stahl, they had the old Eric Stahl. Like, those players are just detailed guys. They're at the end of their career. That's all they do. So, yes, they had Price, but Price knew exactly where the shots were coming from because they had all these great veterans in the right spot doing the details every single day. So, hockey's weird, but once you do it for a long time, you understand how important to have those guys. I will take a detailed, meaning a guy I can trust, over a guy that has tons of talent any day of the week.
There you go.
A Mitch McPherson, a guy that you know exactly what you're going to get every single day. So now I can put him in those situations to be very successful and not put him in certain situations where he would not help the team at all, because I know what he does really well and I trust that he's going to do it well every single day.
Speaking on figuring out what you've got, what do you think this Riverman team is at? I know when we talked a couple of weeks ago, you said we are still kind of building, still trying to figure things out. Where do you think the team's at right now? I know a couple of moves being made during the week. We have a new player being brought in, but where do you think this team's at right now?
We are, like I said, if we can bottle up what we did the last 15 minutes of Saturday, we're starting to be in a good place. But again, until you see the consistency, it's hard as a coach to know if we're there or not.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of things to clean up, a lot of details to clean up. Today was a great penalty kill day. It's the first time we actually worked for over an hour just on the penalty kill to be really connected everywhere. I thought since we had we had quite a bit of success last game starting to be connected, so might as well just add to the details and be perfect in every single area. So I think we're starting to be there, but now we have to see the consistency.
Right.
If we can, again, on Friday, show the same effort, the will to win, winning races, winning battles, doing all the right things, no bad turnovers in neutral zone, and we see it over and over again, game after game, we're giving we're giving ourselves good odds of winning most of those games.
Yeah, the Rivermen taking on the Pensacola Ice Flyers this Friday and Saturday here at Carver Arena. It is Peanuts weekend. The Rivermen are wearing specialty Peanuts jerseys, one of my favorite weekends of the whole year. Plus, be sure to bring your non-perishable and canned goods to benefit CityLink's Stuff-A-Bus food drive. The more you bring, the more often you will be entered into a raffle to win a free Riverman Peanuts uniform. Had a couple of the guys out there helping me film a little video, basically going over what you need to do in order to get involved in that raffle. Again, Friday and Saturday games face-off set for 7:15 p.m. You know, Guy, interesting thing I want to bring up. It's not coming up this weekend, but next week is Thanksgiving. And, you know, when you're in our business, holidays can be really tough for family, whether you're on the road or you have a really crazy schedule. This year, I think it's a good schedule for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving will be on Thursday with Friday, Saturday home games here at Carver Arena the following weekend. What was the most fulfilling Thanksgiving in your career while coaching, and how do you and your family kind of help make it work? How do you help other players manage the schedule, especially around the holidays, with family and friends and other obligations?
It's tough. We've been lucky over the last few years with Christmas break. We know we have a lot of time off. This year's a little tougher, but you try to make the best situation of what we have. And right now in Peoria, as a coach, games are more important really than, unfortunately, but so what we're going to do is we're going to have Sunday bosses. We're going to have a big meal for all the players, wives, girlfriends, and we're going to have a big dinner on Sunday so guys can enjoy their dinner and enjoy a few drinks, have fun with the boys. And Thursday we're going to focus on being ready for the weekend. So we're going to celebrate a different day because it's so hard. If you take Thursday off and the guys just eat too much and stuff. Now
Yeah.
you're not getting the. We want to try to get the best version of an athlete every single game, but we're always going to try to find spots for the guys to have fun also and celebrate together as a team. But for me, Thanksgiving is always family. So any which time that you're allowed, but we had for years, Angie leaves and goes to her sister because they celebrate kind of Christmas all together. That's when they can get together. So they celebrate both at the same time. So most of the time she just makes me a meal and I'm at home by myself and I pour myself a glass of wine and I say happy Thanksgiving, and then I'm by myself and I go to bed at 9. So it is what it is. But when they come back on Sunday, we always celebrate it. So again, Angie will be back on Thanksgiving on Sunday. So we're going to have a good meal there with the family, and a lot of our we have Paris in college. She's going to be back. So it's always about family for me, but for my team, it's always about making sure they celebrate together, understanding because this is our family now.
Yeah.
And it's always hard to get their parents in town and stuff like that. So celebrate together, enjoy it, because Thanksgiving when they're retired is still going to be there. Your hockey team won't be there. So right now it's about getting the best version of our athletes for a game, and then making sure we celebrate those important moments.
Best or most memorable Thanksgiving when you had to be on the road, either as a player or a coach?
Honestly, I don't remember. I really don't. I don't know. I was home most of the time because schedule makes it that most of the time you're at home. So I don't remember being on the road for a Thanksgiving dinner. But at home, I do remember them because for me, it's all family. We're family together. We have fun. But no, as a hockey player, I'm telling you, it's different.
Really?
Yeah, just because like I said, I want to be the best version of myself as a coach. So even if Thursday's Thanksgiving, I'm not going to have too much fun. I'm going to focus on what I have to do. And then, it is what it is at the end of the day. But for me, Christmas is really important that I have my morning with my kids and stuff like that. But Thanksgiving, if I have to celebrate it 3 days later, I do whatever I have to do to make sure, we say our thanks. But at the same time that we're hockey players. We're here to win hockey games. So that's a tough question.
It's interesting because you mention a lot about family, and I feel like parents who have kids, who have brought up kids to be athletes, have a special opportunity to bond. I recently saw a video on Instagram from Jeff Daniels, who's an actor who lives and is from the great state of Michigan, and he had a son coming up. He played hockey, and he said the 2 hours driving to and from the rink were the best hours to bond. And you talk about anything other than hockey, and I know for myself that was exactly when I was coming up playing youth hockey and playing high school hockey. My parents would drive me to games. Like that's all we did. We just talk about anything other than the game. If we want to talk to me about a little bit about the game for like 5, 10, 15 minutes afterwards, then my dad knows the game well enough. He can give me a couple of pointers and we could talk and kind of debrief. But after that, we talk about anything other. And I feel like that helps the bonding process between parents and their children. And I'm wondering if you had similar instances with young Tristan growing up. I know it was a little bit different because most of the time you were in Switzerland.
Yeah, we had plenty of time. As a hockey player, I had way more time because, you're back home around 1 p.m.
Right.
So you have all day. So in Switzerland, especially with Tristan, I was with him until I left for practice, and I was with him, the rest of the day. So plenty of time as a player. As a coach, it's difficult.
Yeah.
You have to have a very understanding family because if I have to be here till 8 p.m., I stay here till 8 p.m. Like I told you, like there's no lunchtime. There's no... I just work until the work is done. And then, of course, with my youth hockey, sometimes I come home at 10 p.m. So, it's difficult, but I feel like I still have enough time to really enjoy my family and bond with them. And we're lucky as coaches, a little bit like school teachers, we have our summers off. So you have a lot of time there also with your kids. So I have a very understanding family. As a coach, it's a lot more difficult as a player. As a player, I felt like I had tons of time with the family.
Yeah.
As a coach, it's long hours. And that's why I think once you win those championships, it's a different feeling than player and coach. Because coach, you felt like I had to take care of these 20 athletes and prepare everything. And like you're talking about 15, 16-hour days in the playoffs. as a player, just show up here. I mean,
Yeah.
2 hours you play the game and you play as hard as you can. So very different, but I wouldn't change both areas. I'm so lucky that I got to be a hockey player and now the coaching side. I love both and very fortunate.
Well, speaking unfortunate, you are coming up on a major milestone. In fact, Jean-Guy Trudel is just 2 wins away from becoming the winningest head coach in SPHL history. He's 1 win away from tying the regular season title held by Jerome Bouchard. He's 2 wins away from having it outright. He's already the winningest coach in terms of the playoffs in SPHL history. And I know what you're going to say. Talk to you when you get 500 wins, or talk to you when you get 1,000 wins. I've known you long enough, Guy. So that's not going to be my question. My question is this. What do you think was the biggest factor for you, Jean-Guy Trudel, to have success here in Peoria?
2 things. My boss trusting in me and allowing me to do the transactions, and he never asked any question. Of course, he wants to be, he wants to know what's going on, but he never doubts what I do. And then having players trust the process and what we want to do. And to me, building those relationships, being a really close hockey team, being like a family, and bringing it every single day is very important. But you need certain type of athletes to be able to trust that and to want to put forth the effort. So I was very lucky to have phenomenal leadership groups, phenomenal players over the years here. I was very lucky enough to also have a very good boss that gives us an opportunity to be in a great building, a great locker room, great whatever we need. We get to make sure we have the best team possible. So for me, I think those are the 2 biggest reasons that a lot of wins kind of happen is because of those 2 things. And because, like me, I hear a lot of horror stories in different teams or different leagues that the bosses are down the coaches every single day and they have to do it their way. So now you can't even build a team the way you want.
Right.
And then also have horror stories about type of players that some teams have. And you have to try to get wins with those type of players that you don't trust and they don't trust you. That's a tough process.
That is tough.
So I've been lucky, and we talked about leadership all the time. The first thing you want to bring is the right people through the door. And I think boss, by never questioning me, kind of showed me that he trusts me. So that gives me a lot of confidence. And then my players, bringing the right athletes through the door that are going to buy into what we do and all our sayings up here, that we love and we squeeze and we buy in. So for us, that's what Peoria is all about, and that's why the wins keep piling up every single year. And hopefully, I keep this job for a while and keep going and keep trying to build it to 1,000, because we're not going to talk about it until we get to 1,000. Right, Hags? So we always say, and I know people are going to laugh, but I don't like to celebrate mediocrity. So I always tell my athletes when they get to 100 points, I'm like, yeah, talk to me when we get to 1,000. So to me, athletes are supposed to get 100 points, or I'm supposed to get a certain amount of wins a year. So the biggest thing that shows me I'm just old. Yeah.
Oh, so get out of here. Well, Jean-Guy, by the time you get done, I'm sure that record will be at a point where I don't think anyone will ever be able to touch it. But like you said, good people make great rivermen. And
that's the thing. And I'm going to keep building teams. And like I told you before, I'd rather have a player I trust than a very talented player that I can't trust. So when you trust people, it's because they're good people. We love to have good people, and we're lucky to have, even our front office guys like you. I think we have a great thing in Peoria right now, built around great people that trust each other, and just got to continue that way, and the wins are going to keep coming.
Well, hopefully the wins keep coming this weekend as the Rivermen take on the Pensacola Ice Flyers, who can't wait for Friday and Saturday. Peanuts weekend back among us. Guy, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate everything.
For Jean-Guy Trudel, I'm Jason Ruff. This has been Coffee with Coach.